What's going on, guys? This is Mikeinoid, and today I will be replacing the hinge and faceplate of a DS Lite. The Nintendo DS family are a series of handheld systems that I grew up with. You had a massive library of games for the DS, and if you had an original DS or DS Lite, you also had access to the Game Boy Advance library. I had a lot of memories with my DS, especially accidentally breaking the hinge, which is a pretty common issue with the DS Lite. The hinge on these systems were prone to break when dropped, and this DS is no exception. I found this blue DS Lite at my local retro game store for $35. Everything works, and it even comes with a GBA slot cover. The only problem is that we got ourselves a broken hinge, and the faceplate is pretty dirty. $35 may be a lot for a broken DS, and believe me, I definitely seen better deals. But it was pretty good for the game store since they were selling a working condition DS Lite for $80. Since I already have a blue DS Lite, I want to pimp out this system a little bit, so I got a translucent black DS Lite shell replacement. And once we get the system in working condition, I'll be able to use my R4 card that allows me to load a bunch of DS games. So initially I wanted to replace the entire shell of the DS Lite. However, as I got further into the operation, I realized that this replacement shell is a piece of This isn't my first time I've had to replace a hinge to a DS Lite. I first did the operation on my childhood red DS Lite, so taking apart the DS was by far the easiest part, and even reinstalling the top screen and speakers was pretty simple. My first problem I came across was the screws that came with the replacement shell easily stripped, and it sucked. After I managed to get the screws out, I placed all of the buttons and finally put back the board. If you guys have ever had to repair a DS Lite, you know that this black cable is stupid. Nintendo had this bright idea to design the system by having this wire run behind the card reader. It really just takes a couple tries to get it through, and you'll need tweezers to help you get it all the way through. My next problem I came across was with the L and R triggers. If you guys don't know how the triggers work, they basically have these springs in them, and they give them that tension when you push them. Every time I tried to put on the back part, the springs kept getting undone and I had to set them back in place. Sometimes this happens when you put on the backing, but not every time. So finally, I decided to use the old bottom parts instead and have a matte black and translucent glossy black combination. I thought I was done at first, but then when I was putting in the brand new stylus, it wasn't going in all the way, and I had to basically take off the backing one more time, get to the stylus compartment, and found this thing in here. I have no idea what this was, but it was basically all the way down inside the stylus slot. So even though it didn't go as planned, I still think this system looks pretty sick. But with that being said, it's still pretty cool that you're able to see the speakers and the top screen through the actual casing. Of course, everything works as it should. We got a working hinge that keeps the top screen in place when we are playing games. Speaking of games, we can play as many DS games as possible with the R4 card. You just need a micro SD card, and all you gotta do is copy over the necessary files and ROMs, and you got yourself Star Wars Lethal Alliance. At least that's what Nintendo thinks. Well, that's going to be it for today's video. Let me know what you think are must-play DS games in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching, and of course, I will see you guys in the next one. Take care. Bro, I literally spent like 2 hours trying to put those damn springs back in place. I was losing my mind, man.